Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Reload Podcast, along with Nathan Gilsleider and Marshall Scott. I'm Justin Southwell. Well, we hung around for a little bit longer. There was some promising, hopeful things that we had seen. Play calling looked a lot better, but in the end, Oklahoma State fell to Cincinnati 49-17. Man, they just pulled away.
Yeah, that it's rough to say like this feels like progress whenever, Oklahoma State loses 49-17, but it did really feel like they had made some progress outside of like a stretch of drives. You have the third down snap, the 3rd-and-1 snap that gets away from Sam Jackson. He's got a fall on it. They've got a punt that leads into Cincinnati's next drive where they've got a 3rd and 16 that they convert on. They can get 38 yards. He slices it in between like 3 Oklahoma State defenders as Brendan Sorsby, who is really, really good. And then, Oklahoma State gets the ball back, is driving down, throws a 100-yard pick six. And all of a sudden, what was, Oklahoma State was driving to make it a 1-score game is all of a sudden like way out of hand. It's 42-17. But like outside of those 3 drives, things were looking significantly better. But that still doesn't feel like a good spot to be in, watching Oklahoma State lose 49-17.
I was still hurt by the fact that we keep giving up touchdowns, or at least scores, right before halftime. It just seems like, ugh. And then, of course, we came out pretty hot in the beginning of the second half. And I was like, if we had not just given that up, and it's a different game. But ultimately, yeah, they were the better team. They pulled away. So it is what it is.
There's 3 plays when I look at this game that a lot of people like to make fun of Coach Gundy and a lot of coaches where it says, hey, there's 5 to 10 plays. And that's quite literally, there was 3 plays in this game that we didn't make. That is quite literally the reason why it the way it was, and it wasn't a nail biter down to the finish like the guys deserved. Number 1, Sessi getting stuffed on 4th and 1. He had the first down, then he decided to bounce it because he thought he could get to the end zone. Just got to have better situational awareness, man. Like, you've been at OSU for 3 years now. It's 4th and 1. Your number 1 job is to get the first down. You got to accept that and then not get greedy, right? I mean, that's just something that can't happen, quite honestly. It's like, if you're not going to have Trent Howland in there, which, you know what I mean? Like, I still don't understand. He's got to be banged up. That's the only thing I can come up with. And this is no knock on Sessi, because Sessi ran hard. He made some good cuts. But, like, that's got to be Trent Howland. That's got to be your guy in that play. So there's something else there that either I must be missing. You brought up Marshall. That really wasn't a bad snap. I mean, it was helmet high. He's got to catch that. He got his eyes already looking out in front of him like he was getting ready to do something, and he took his eyes off the ball. And then, that 3rd and 17 that they got, the funny thing is like, that ball should never have been thrown. It's a cover 2. It wasn't even really a hole shot. Like, it was a hitch and go, and he kind of turned it to like a skinny post. And I don't want to single out Parker Robertson here, but that play has to be made. That can't happen. Either you blow him up or that's a pick. There's no in between. He hesitated. He was late. That ball shouldn't even been thrown. It was a good throw, but in against any other team, that's a pick easily. Those 3 plays, you break it down, right? We're going to score. We're driving the ball easy with Sess. You get that first down. I feel very confident. They weren't stopping the run. We were moving the ball very well. Coach Johns did a fantastic job of not getting away from too much, right? Which I thought was just such a big boost for both sides of the ball. You saw, like, we talked so much lately about it being, you got to work together a little bit, right? Run the ball, hold some clock, give the defense a chance. And while the first half was about as bad a defense as you could possibly play at the Division I level, at the 3rd quarter, they gave us a chance. And that's all you can really ask. I was talking to my family afterwards, and it's like, you really have guys that are getting every single snap on defense that probably should be more like special teams captains, right? I mean, that's the roles that they should, on a very good football team, those are the roles that they should have. And they're out there every single play, and they're giving it everything they got. But some of these plays that we missed, even when Sorsby scored on the rush, right? Like, Robertson had him. Like, you can't miss that tackle. I get it. Open field tackles are tough. My wide receiver coach used to call those LOI plays. It's like your letter of intent. That's why you signed with us and not them, right? That play has to be made. Our open field tackling was atrocious in this game. And they're incredibly difficult plays, right? Like, they're going to win some. We're going to win some. They won every single one. Like, that can't happen. It was fun. I mean, the way that the crowd responded in the 3rd quarter, like, we were getting ready to close out a big win. Like, I was like, wow, we are amped up because we're only down by 11. This is great. But yeah, I think probably one of the biggest takeaways is, I just said it, like, The crowd was phenomenal, man. You're 1-5. You stink. You haven't won a football game of worth in almost 2 years, and we've got 47,000 people there sticking it out. Yeah, man, like, I don't know. Whoever's our next coach is, and you got recruits and guys thinking about leaving, and guys that are sitting out right now. Like, that's not normal, fellas. Like, it's just not. I mean, you can go to UCLA, you can go around, and even some of these schools that are winning more than Oklahoma State right now. I mean, I don't know. Did anybody see the Houston game? That wasn't even half full, and they're 5-1.
A much more meaningful game, and nobody's showing up.
Exactly. So, I was just so proud and so impressed, and I know it meant a lot to the guys. I can only imagine. You saw them play. I really do believe that they fed off of that, and you saw the way that they were playing, especially in that third quarter, man. Like, we came out with some juice, cheering, and they gave it everything they had. So I think those are my biggest takeaways. Is like, you said it, Marshall. Like, it looks way worse than it was. There was a lot there to be. I don't know if proud is the right word, but respectable. Like, you're out there fighting. I mean, Cincinnati's a good team, like, but they're not great, right? I think they scored on the same concept 3 out of the 4 times in the first half. I'm like, guys, you got to cover this guy slipping out to the right. He gets every number 4, and then they ran the same concept to the tight end. So it's literally the same play. It's just a different player.
Until they stop it.
Exactly, right? Keep going to it. I was really proud of the effort. Like, no, those guys were going till the end. That pick 6 obviously was a dagger, but I think even before that, the balloon really popped when they completed that 3rd and 16. The crowd felt it. Everybody felt it. I think the players kind of felt it. They knew that was a pivotal moment. All in all, man, like, I don't know how you could ask for much more out of what we've got, the skeleton crew we've got left right now. I do want to say one thing, and I've been saying it for a couple weeks now, but the job that Coach Mitchell, Coach Bassett, and Coach Garner are doing with that offensive line, it's elite coaching. You lose Noah McKinney, who was your one guy that was really doing it on both sides. You plug in Sanders. I mean, you got a center who's struggling with snaps. You got a young right tackle, young left tackle. Your left guard is playing pretty well and Schick, but we just keep doing it. We eclipsed Cincinnati's average on yards given up by the first half. I mean, I couldn't be more impressed with the job that they're doing. This is something we talked about in preseason that we really felt like they would do, right? They continue to progress and get better. And of all the groups, they are the one unit that continues to grow and get better week to week. I'm not trying to make them out to be elite or 2011 or anything like that, but they have consistently gotten better week to week. And I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody does with the coaches, but man, I would love to see this offensive line staff stick together, continue to grow with this new coach, whoever it's going to be. And, because it means something to them, right? You can tell it means something to him. I don't know if I love watching Coach Mitchell on the sideline. Like, he gets amped, man. I love it. I hope they get an opportunity to keep going.
Yeah, and same with Coop, that he brings that energy too. But to your point, Nate, because these guys have not given up and they're improving week over week, we see things like Rodney Fields Jr. running for 163 yards and finishing with 190 all-purpose yards. So Marshall, got to give the guy his flowers.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nathan mentioned the offensive line. They deserve a lot of credit in this. And Kevin Johns, the quarterback coach, taking over the play calling. They found something, much like Cincy found something that worked. Oklahoma State found something that worked. They'd go trips to one side. They'd have a tight end on the other. Sometimes they'd have that tight end back up and he'd tell the 2 on the other side to step up. So now that guy is ineligible, but Cincinnati's already out there. So they get the snap off pretty quick after that. And they've got numbers on the inside. So I thought that was good on Johns or whoever in the offensive staff identified, hey, this is spreading them out and there's some room to run here. So I think this was like the first game all season. And what is it? Game 6 at this point that, Oklahoma State somewhat had an offensive identity, and that offensive identity was Rodney Fields, who I think, going into the year, we all thought could be like Oklahoma State's offensive identity. So I thought this was just a big step forward for the Oklahoma State offense in terms of, okay, this is what, some success looks like. They, I tweeted out today, entering yesterday, they had 3 drives this season of 5 minutes or longer. in that game alone, they had 4 drives of 5 minutes or longer. I think one of them was like 7:53 or something was the top one. So yeah, I thought it was super impressive stuff from the Oklahoma State run game, coaching, obviously Rodney Fields and the offensive line.
And because we're able to run the ball, Sam Jackson has a little bit better of a game as well. He's able to make some stuff happen. So while it wasn't necessarily the best performance by a quarterback by any means, Sam Jackson has improved since even last week because we have some semblance of a run game going.
Yeah, I just felt like, and this is kind of what I had hoped. I think when I was talking to somebody throughout the week, like, you have to establish this. What you're asking, what they asked of him in the Houston game was unfair. It was a lot of like 1 or 2 reads after a play action. Gosh, he throws a pretty ball, doesn't he? I mean, my goodness, it's effortless coming out of his hand for not a very big dude. And I even thought the crowd the crowd did not enjoy how much he likes to slide feet first whenever there's a couple more yards out there. But I mean, even that's just, you saw him kind of even getting better about that throughout the game, and a feel on when to go and how long to hold on to it. I mean, the guy's literally learning on the fly every single snap. And I know he played earlier in the year in his college career, and he played a little bit in high school, but I mean, asking him to do it week in and week out for the first time in 2 years, like, hey man, he's knocking some rust off too. So I thought Coach Johns did a phenomenal job of putting him in positions to win. And then the few times that the offensive line did get beat, hey man, that's why you have an athlete back there. Like, offensive line's never going to be perfect. I thought he did a really, really good job. Obviously, there's about 3 to 5 balls that he can throw better, right? There was one over the middle he missed. There was a dump off he missed. Obviously, that pick six that was way late and behind. It looked like, I mean, you'd have to be in the meeting room to understand, like, is that a really bad route? Because the route didn't look crisp at all, and it was a late and behind throw. It looked like a both. But I really liked what I saw. And I think once he gets more assertive and he gets like more decisive on like what he's seeing and trusting it and going, because there's a couple times where like he's waiting to turn it on and you're like, bro, if you just go, you've got another 10 without anybody even touching you. But I thought Coach Johns did a phenomenal job on the spot like that, putting them in positions to win.
Yeah, and one thing that probably isn't on Sam Jackson's mind too much is something that, believe it or not, Alan Bowman did a pretty good job at. But whenever things are not looking good, he'd throw it out of bounds. There were a couple times where Sam Jackson, he'd be scrambling around and lose like 5 yards because but I think he did adjust to that, because I think I saw that he had been coached on that. Like, go ahead and toss it out of bounds whenever it looks like it's going to not work out for you.
Yeah, there was then there's one other play. He's obviously, as you'd imagine, like just a little bit sometimes late to see it. There was one where I think it was actually the play before Sessi got stuffed, or on the same drive, where we ran a corner route and the guy had you knew by alignment that he was going to have it, because I think he had a safety head up over him and he was inside leverage by half a step. And so, like, if you know that's going to be a corner, and they brought a lot of blitz, they brought an extra man in the blitz, so like that was man coverage. Like, you just have to throw that. If he had been working all summer, like that's a layup touchdown. He saw it late, scrambled around, whatever. But just stuff like that. But I mean, my expectation, he exceeded it this game, and I think a large part of that is due to being able to establish a run, like you said, Justin, utilizing his legs, and Coach John putting him in positions to succeed, which we didn't do last week.
Yeah, it's certainly, I think, a step forward, especially from last week. He was, against Houston, 7 for 16, 84 passing yards. Yesterday, 11 for 19, 149 passing yards. I just think, given the situation, there's a guy who was playing wide receiver at the beginning of the year, now playing quarterback. I think that is about as much as you could ask for in a second game. Yeah, and I agree. There was, I think there were 1 or 2 times he would slide behind the line of scrimmage whenever he's passing, and it's like, dude, whatever. And then there was that one time where he like underhand flicks a throwaway, which honestly looked pretty cool. But you could sort of see him, the awareness rating in Madden or whatever, you could sort of see that like ticking up like almost each series, where that rating maybe necessarily didn't start pretty high, but it's in like an okay spot right now. And you think just the more and more reps he gets, he's going to get better at that stuff. But it's still not an ideal situation for Oklahoma State to be in, that they've got Sam Jackson playing quarterback right now. I don't think going into the year that was their path to victory, but it's sort of the hand they've been dealt.
Celine Dion, it's all coming back to him. It's been a while since he played quarterback, knocking the rust off.
Yeah, you're right. And when you look at it, I was just looking at some of the stats, and obviously they don't tell the story, but they tell part of the story. Time of possession, Oklahoma State 36 minutes, Cincinnati 23. Total yards 427 to 377. Penalties 6-8. You know, he had the 2 interceptions. You know, that one obviously is backbreaking, but total plays 67 to 60. Like, there's a lot there when you look at that. Like, hey, you're in a ball game, and that's what it was for 3+ quarters, right? They didn't turn the ball over on the road. We got to him one time, but my goodness, that guy had all day back there, and I think he only got sacked twice on the entire season. So obviously, it's a good offensive unit. But my goodness, I mean, he's a good quarterback, but it was at times it was almost like, I don't know who couldn't find an open man with 5.5 seconds to pass. And I don't mean that like in a negative way to Cincinnati, because their schemes were fantastic, but it was good to see. Like, BPS felt alive again for the first time in quite a while, and it was just like, man, this is just fun. Like, feels good to be alive in the stadium. The stadium is alive again, and I think the guys felt it. You know, I don't know who's going to be quarterback next week. You know, no, none of us do. Like, obviously, you hope it's Haas. It was good to see him on the sideline, at least, you know, in a jersey and a hat and doing the thing. I know Flores was out there, but he really didn't throw a forward pass. He was just kind of there. So, you know, who knows? If it's Sam again, I expect improvement, even though it's going to be Texas Tech. Like, I think there's things you're going to see that he's going to do better week to week. But all in all, it was 3 quarters. It was good football to watch and entertaining, and the boys were fighting, and the crowd was alive.
Yeah, I sort of piggybacking off that in terms of who's going to play quarterback next week. St. Flores suited up, didn't actually go through full warmups, and so Oklahoma State's got Texas Tech this upcoming weekend, Kansas the weekend after that, and then a bye. I think I would personally right now prefer Sam Jackson ride out these next 2 games. Both on the road. This Texas Tech game is going to be rough for if Zane's coming back in. It's like, hey Zane, you were struggling already, and then you got hurt for 2 weeks, and now here's Lubbock. I don't know that that's a great spot to put him in, and obviously Haas hadn't played since the first game, so I think that's a tough spot for any of those guys to come back in. So I think I would just like to see Sam ride it out for Texas Tech, for Kansas, and then maybe that bye week is like, all right, let's reset some things. Let's see where these guys are, and then then maybe it's Haas season, or if he's not ready to go by then maybe it's Zane's turn. So that's sort of what I would like to see. We haven't gotten anything on that, and I imagine that's going to be something that Meacham keeps as close to the vest as possible. But that's what I would like to see from the quarterback situation moving forward.
Texas Tech is licking their wounds after a loss this last weekend. Now, Oklahoma State, I'm seeing here, opens as a 38.5-point underdog to Texas Tech. Do you think that line moves at all if Haas were to come in and play quarterback?
Possibly up. I don't know. No, obviously, you would think that it would come down some, but that line is more indicative of our defense than our offense, and what happened to Tech last weekend. So I don't know. You could probably put Peyton Manning back there, and I think the line might stay the same.
The Reload podcast is brought to you by Brewster Consulting Group. Do any of these sound familiar at your company? Our processes are manual and inefficient with no documentation. Our data reporting takes forever and isn't accurate. We hear all the hype about AI, but have no clue what it actually means for our business. Our projects always run over time and over budget. If so, talk with our friends at Brewster Consulting Group. They help build organizations that run like well-oiled machines with clear processes, reliable data and reporting, and technology that actually works for you. Their team of 6 Sigma Black Belts, PMP certified project managers, and seasoned data engineers have delivered solutions that are built to last for local clients like the Tulsa International Airport and Medify. They've also delivered solutions for large international enterprises like DP World. Even better, Brewster was founded and is run by a proud OSU alum and season ticket holder. Learn more about them at www.brewsterconsulting.com, or learn more about their methodologies by connecting with them at Brewster Consulting Group on LinkedIn or YouTube.
That was a heck of an ad read. I think that was your best ad read yet.
Oh, thank you.
Very, very smooth.
I'll take it. Oh, man. Well, covered the game. One thing we didn't cover, because I just dove right into it. Marshall, I got to hang out with you for a bit on Saturday. We got to hang out at the PFB Plus tailgate. It was exclusive. Got to see some of those guys in there from the chamber. It's good times.
Yeah, absolutely. You try to put faces with little icons of like, oh, that's who you are, oh, that's who you are. So yeah, those are fun. Stevenson in the chamber has put together a couple of those over the past 3-ish years. He messaged me one and he's like, hey, could I put a PFP flag up for this? And I was like, absolutely. Brought some merch down there, good food, good conversations. Yeah, that was a cool part. That was honestly where I first started hearing these murmurs, and somebody put it in the chamber beforehand, but I hadn't looked, of these bananas that were on their way to Boone Pickens Stadium. I'd heard a little bit about that at that tailgate, and I didn't expect it, I guess, to be as big a deal as it was, but yeah, that was a fun talking point there at the PFB Plus tailgate.
Saw a couple banana peels walking by. I was like, oh, it's coming to life.
The student section is honestly killing it. I don't think the guy standing there waving a shirt, I don't think that was a student, but it's now turned into, obviously, it being over there, student section thing. You've got the banana sections, and it's sort of, I tweeted a video of the banana section conga line that was happening. Mm-hmm. In that video, if you look up, you can see, shirtless 231 waving their towels above their heads, and you almost forget about, there's also a group of students with paddles banging them against the wall. Like that's almost just like the normal, you just look past that at this point. So yeah, sure. I think all the fun that the student section is having, despite, the product on the field, I think it, goes to show you just how special a place that Oklahoma State is and can be for whoever that next coach is.
And I think the desire or the hope is that this will transfer over to basketball, men and women's basketball, wrestling. At one point, I think that maybe it was because there was a president of the paddle people who was big into wrestling. And for one of the seasons, I remember they had paddle people for wrestling duels. I'd love to see if that can make a comeback. Basketball, I don't know what the logistics are if you could have paddle people for basketball games, but could you imagine? And then, of course, 231, the spirit of that.
I just want to see in it. I want look like a Chiquita banana factory in the student section for basketball. That's what I want to see. I just want to see just nanners going crazy, man. Like, I think it's great. It's awesome. I love it. It's, when Hendrickson took off his shirt, like the place just erupted. Like, that was so awesome. But it kind of sucks. Like each season evolves, right? Like you had a couple years ago, I forgot the little fella's name. His brother played on the team as defensive tackle, and they always brought him out, to say "Go Pokes."
Ooh, Clay.
Yes, yeah, little.
He was Colin Clay, and then there was Warren.
Yeah, Colin Clay's little brother.
Yeah.
And like that kind of evolved, right? And it was a good season, so that was fun. And then it was like, man, we're gonna waste shirtless section and bananas in the same season, and we're gonna have one win. Like, this kind of stinks, but it is what it is. I'm glad to see everyone still having fun and showing up. And I want to say one thing too. This is the first time I remember this, and it may not be the first year, but I definitely know it's different than it used to be. They've gotten very smart to not announce the homecoming winner of Pomping until the start of the fourth quarter. Elite brain move, guys. I mean, you guys used to just rush it all out at halftime and then gonzo. So elite, big brain move there. And it helped. It really did. So very well done.
Nobody guessed this, which I don't know why, but all orange for homecoming. It makes sense. And we got to see it for the first time this year with a brand new helmet with cursive pokes. I will defer to you guys for your thoughts first, because you can probably imagine what I'm going to say about this.
So I'll just go ahead and I stole cursive pokes entirely from Nathan's been pushing cursive pokes all year. I swipe it at the very last second and bam, there it is. All I was off on was I predicted a white helmet, but I liked the helmet itself in a vacuum. I think maybe it with orange pants and an orange shirt where that might have been, maybe there might have been too much orange going on, but I think I like the helmet by itself. I think that would look sick on like a white jersey, like a orange. I think that could look pretty good, and I just sort of hope that they use cursive pokes maybe a little bit more going forward. I hope this isn't like a one-time deal and then it's gone forever, but I like the helmet in a vacuum with it being part of the full look. I was a little there were times I'm like, maybe this is too much orange.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like the dreamsicle. The helmet had a little bit of sparkle to it, which I love, but just when you go against two other oranges that just don't have that, there's just a lot going on there. Like Marshall said, elite helmet though. I love the colored helmet look, like when the Atlanta Falcons go red, or when the Buffalo Bills used to have a red helmet. Like, I think those are elite. So that orange one, I think, even if you went like orange, black, or something like that, man, like it just pops and it's got that nice pearl to it. Been calling for pokes, finally pulled through. I was way off on everything else though, but I feel pretty good because it's a brand new lid, so I was saving that one. So I like the call there. I don't know. I love it because it was homecoming, and you're going all against all white, so I get it. But not my favorite combo. Love the helmet though. Standalone helmet's elite, but total not great.
And underrated part of the helmet, the bumper saying "loyal and true" on the back.
Proud and immortal.
Okay, well, so I'm looking. That's what I thought it said. Yeah, I think there's some that do say that. Some say loyal and true because I'm looking at the back of Terrell Davis because I was like, I want to make sure, but that's what I thought as well. So yeah, I think there were some proud and loyal and trues and some immortal. So I think that's a nice little detail that didn't have to be added, but I'm glad it was. Let's hear it, Justin. Let's hear it.
I don't like it. Nothing about it. The 2022 all orange that we had with a throwback helmet, an actual throwback helmet for homecoming, was my favorite all orange look that we've had. I actually kind of like the stripe. So it was a triple stripe, but it had black down the middle and white outlines. This helmet makes absolutely no sense to me. It doesn't flow with the uniform at all. It's a reddish orange helmet with a lighter orange face mask. It has a single white stripe, which doesn't flow with the uniform. If you had a white face mask, maybe it helps out a little bit with a white face mask. But Curse of Pokes, I'm kind of disappointed. I thought I would like it a little bit more. I don't like it.
Going on the stripe, I think it would be better if it had the thicker white stripe, 2 black stripes to match what was on the jersey. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, because it's a uniform, and it should look uniform. But I digress. It was my least favorite look with all orange since 2013.
It was at the Stewie return where the helmet is just an entirely different color than the jersey and the pants.
Yeah, and the logo blended in with the helmet. You can even tell that it was OSU. At least this one has white pokes, so it pops a little bit. But I was disappointed, very disappointed that we didn't see any kind of throwback helmet. Homecoming tradition has been severed after 10 years. We had something really going there for a decade, and then they just spit in our face.
Whoa. Me and Nathan liked it. My face does not feel spit upon.
2/3. Only 1/3 got spit on. 2/3. Okay.
Additionally, I have no idea what's going on with Oklahoma State football tweeting out that they're going to release the uniforms at 5:30 on Friday night and then say, see you tomorrow. Do we not deserve better as uniform fans that you're going to make us wait for homecoming uniforms? And you know what? I can understand why you waited, because it didn't look good.
I like
hottest take of the year. Doesn't even come on the field. That's just, I like it. I love it, Justin. Fired up.
Yeah, I love the passion. I love everything about it. It was super weird because you've been calling for this all season for them to announce the uniforms a little bit sooner. It almost felt like they were like, oh, hey, Justin, watch this. We're just going to put a picture of a guy, waving a shirt above his head and then move along. I don't know what happened there, but it did seem like that was
getting thousands of likes.
Yeah.
You guys, everybody that liked that, you're a sicko. What's going on with that?
I mean, I think it's just the guy in the shirt is fun. That's just a fun visual.
They're going to overdo that, and then that's going to not be fun anymore.
Well, they're already pushing it's already on the edges. Bananas really saved it last game.
Yeah.
But I will say, I want to give Coach Hoyt a shout out, showing up there with this shirtless shirt on.
That was good.
Well played, Coach. Well played.
All right, we don't have any questions from the chamber this time, but we'll have that for the next episode. What I do want to finish with today is the Wyberg interview. So you guys have a couple of takeaways from what he had basically said. Let's get an update of what's going on with the coaching search and take it away.
Yeah, so I'll just sort of run through, what happened. So he goes on, but Oklahoma State put out a YouTube video is, basically a coach's show that they had been doing with Mike Gundy that sort of had to obviously juggle some things around then. They got Wyberg on just to sort of talk about the search a little bit, discussed it being the same search firm that they hired for Steve Lutz an interesting portion of that was that these search firms only, this is something that I hadn't heard, they only take on so many searches per cycle. So Oklahoma State getting in early, and I think everybody was like a little bit, was that too early to fire a legend of the school? But I think with all of the dominoes falling right now, Florida opens today. Florida State lost this past weekend. It feels like more of these are coming. For Oklahoma State to be out at least a little bit ahead of all those other searches, I think that's could be huge. Them getting the search firm that could have been locked up by somebody else.
So I do have a quick question about that. And I obviously have no idea how this works behind the scenes, but is the firing actually necessary for them to be able to hire a firm like that? Could they not say, we're going to fire Gundy at the end of the year? We want you to start working right now.
I think that if something leaks, that gets really, it gets maybe even messier than whatever it could have been. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
You might even open yourself up to lawsuit, like searching for a job that's not open type of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, as a coach is like, you're already going to fire me. Then you just like didn't try to pay me. Now I want that money back because I was already going to be out of a job. You know what I mean? That kind of, I don't know.
Sure. Well, then in that case, good timing. So Marshall, continue.
He talked about the time frame that, he said, just because there's not stuff, outwardly happening, they're working every day on this stuff. He said, if he was king of the world and he got to say on this date they'll move on their next coach, it'd be the day after the season ends. Some people maybe held on that to be like, oh, the college football season, but I think there was like a little bit of, I think his quote said something along the lines of whatever that looks like. If you're still in the Zach Robinson camp, maybe that looks a little bit different. So time goal is as soon as possible when the season ends. I'm still a little, and this is personal injection here, but I still sort of wonder, just with all of these jobs being open, I feel like something is going to leak, whether that's at Oklahoma State or not, at Penn State or at Florida. I feel like this is going to be a cycle where it leaks that somebody's taking a job that they're not at right now. They're coaching somebody else and actively. So I don't know. I think the end of this coaching carousel could get a little messy nationally. And then he was also asked about the Penn State impact on this, and he said that he doesn't think that Penn State's going to have a ton of impact on what they're doing, but he said, like I said last week, what gets interesting is the dominoes. He didn't say if Penn State hires Matt Rule, but if Penn State hires Matt Rule, then Nebraska's open. That's obviously a more geographic battle for Oklahoma State in terms of they're just a couple states north. With Arkansas is open as well, so that's sort of how Penn State could impact things. And similarly with Florida, if Oklahoma State really likes Alex Golesh, for example, and Florida also likes Alex Golesh, that's obviously going to be a clash. I don't know that that's where Florida's going to go, but yeah, I think the Penn State job, it's more the dominoes than the Penn State job being open that could affect things. So Wyberg was about as open as he could be when discussing that sort of stuff. So it's a really interesting listen on the OSU Athletics YouTube channel if you haven't watched it yet.
I took away quite a few of the same things. People were like, oh, well, I saw a lot of things. And it's like, well, if it's going to be December, then obviously it can't be an NFL guy. It's like, guys, like, I don't know. We kind of got forced upon us in 2020. Like, we can do a lot of things through Zoom and, recruiting and these type of things. So much of it is the head coach isn't doing himself. And if he is, it's visits and setting up. And now we have NIL. And so those payments and stuff like that, I mean, that's such a large factor in it now. And so it's like, I'm not saying Zach's going to be the guy. What I'm saying is there's ways around that if he is the guy. Number two, I like the hire. I'm glad he brought up the firm thing, right? Because it's kind of like, well, why would you do it so early? What if you don't even not going to be able to name somebody till December? Now it's just a big mess, and you hear all these rumors of, infighting in the coaching staff and who's really the boss and so forth and so on. And it is a big mess, but you see, like, that is one of the advantages, right? You have a longer runway. And then one thing that he talked about that I've talked about a lot is I really feel like we need a structure change, like inside the building and getting a GM in place and those type of things. And he noted that he would really like for the new coach to have say in that process of what he wants the structure to look like and if he wants to bring somebody in. I really thought that the university would hire like a GM and then hire the coach, kind of like how a NFL model would do, but he said otherwise. So he would like for the new coach to have maybe more insight and input on what he wants, that structure of how he wants NIL and things like that to go moving forward. So I don't think we'll have an answer on that anytime soon either. And I'm not sure we'll maybe even until the spring, right? Because you've got to get through December and into January and get that only portal window we have now. I don't know that we'll have a structure change maybe even until this summer, when the coach actually has a chance to take a deep breath and sit down and see what he wants to do. So I do think there will be some changes, but I don't know that these things are going to become as quickly as we want to, because December and January are so crucial for anything that Oklahoma State's going to accomplish in 2026 on the field, that you might not want to shake up quite as much until you get a little bit more time to sit down and talk and plan out and what you want to do. So yeah, those are the main things I took away as well. It's a good listen. He divulged quite a bit, honestly. I mean, when you look at it now, there's going to be more jobs opening, but as we know, Penn State, Florida, Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech. Am I missing any others right off the top?
Stanford's open, if you
Yep,
consider.
Stanford's open. Yep, UCLA's open. Honestly, I know I'm biased, but I think Penn State and Florida are about the only ones that, like, hey, if the coach wants them, and Oklahoma State's not going to get them. But everything after that, I think Oklahoma State is well within bounds. I think Arkansas is going to want some of the same people that Oklahoma State wants. We know that's going to happen. So, that's going to be crucial. And I think it's crucial. You look at how everyone's responding right now, and Chad's brought it up a lot. We're still showing out. 123 suites sold out, and yada yada yada. So it's a good listen. But those were my takeaways. And conversations are already being had. They go out of their way to make sure it's as quiet as possible, that if anything comes out of it, it's not from the Oklahoma State end. And so, to your point, Marshall, you brought that up. Like, I think some of these things are going to start getting leaked, and by agents, right? Because agents want, a lot of these coaches are by the same agent, and he wants to get the waterfall started so he can start making deals and start doing these things. So if you hear some of these things coming out, it's not Oklahoma State, it's not Virginia Tech, these are agents trying to get these things done so they can start the waterfall of what happens whenever a coach starts getting plucked.
Makes sense. Well, talking about the great crowds that we've had, we do have 2 more home games this year. Of course, this next one that's coming up, we'll circle back to it because I think Justin Blackman is going to be honored in the Ring of Honor for that game, November 15th, so almost a month away. And then we finish off with one more game, which will be senior night against Iowa State for our last 2 home games of the year. And then we're going to be missing football for a long time. So I would encourage the fans, stick it out. You're doing great. America's Greatest Homecoming, all of that was great. It's like a great reason to show up for that. But we have maybe a couple of other really good reasons to show up for some of these other games. So stick with it. 2 more games. That's it.
Yeah, one other thing. This is the last week for portal entries. There's probably going to be a couple more. It's just the way it is, guys. It's easy for me to get frustrated and whatever, but man, I can't imagine some of the situation these kids are put in, what's going on. But I have so much respect for the guys that are there, sticking it out, grinding, being put in positions that aren't great for them to be successful, maybe a little bit too much. So probably in the next couple of days, we'll hear a few more names as expected. And it's on us as fans and as alum to continue to show out and support and show them that when they get this new coach, this is a place that they want to be. And, win, lose, or draw, we're always going to be there for them. And that's going to matter because you go to a lot of these places and we see a lot all around the nation. They don't. And that's what we want to be known for. We want to be different. And I thought we did a great job, like you guys said, and let's continue to do it all the way through.
And outside of football, we will have some other sports to talk about as we approach the winter sports. So good thing you can do in the meantime is sign up on PFB Plus, get access to the chamber, get in the mix with that, try to figure out what Nathan's burner account is on there. It's still a mystery to me. So we're having fun. We're having fun. Guys, anything else before we wrap it up tonight?
I think Nathan's call to action there at the end was better than anything I got.
With that, I'll say thank you guys for listening. Please like, share, subscribe to show your support. We'll see you next time. Keep those pistols firing and remember to reload. Go Pokes.